So game one of the World Series wrapped up last night. The Blue Jays won 11-4 against the Dodgers. I don't think anyone was expecting that result last night. Man, obviously I wasn't. Again, if you guys have watched my prediction video, I had the Blue Jays losing in 5. And my biggest concern heading into the series for them was, can they get to the Dodgers' elite starting pitching? And boy, did they get to Blake Snell last night. And that's really all you can do when talking about this game, is you have to start talking about the starters, because that's really all this game was based off of. Again, I questioned, was Savage the play heading into game one, just because of how young he is, but also putting Gosman at the 2 as the second starter for game 2. It's looking like a better decision now, just because, again, if you do end up winning game 1 like they did, you now have a veteran coming on the bump. But even if you lost game 1, you still have a veteran to save the day. And boy, was that decision a good one now, looking back at it. Savage, he battled, and man, Snell, he pretty much put the Dodgers in the position they were in, because he just wasn't able to really get it done last night. He didn't have his stuff, and that led to the bullpen having to be brought into the game in a high leverage situation as well for the Dodgers, and that was the Dodgers' demise. But let's actually go over their statistics and just kind of get into the actual game. So again, we're going to start with the kid, Savage. He battled. He did not look like he had control, especially he was just really throwing a lot of his pitches a little too high in the zone. And by the end of the third inning for him, he had already let up 2 runs. And I was really questioning, is this kid going to have to get pulled, or are they going to have to warm some guys up in the bullpen? But he did battle a little bit. He did battle. I'm not saying he had a perfect night by any means, but he did at least get pulled at the end of the 4th inning. Finished with 5 Ks. It was a decent night, and he could have been a lot worse. The fact that he kept it at 2 runs allowed, again, looking at how the game played out, that's really all he had to do. Obviously, we'll get into it, but the Blue Jays do respond. So the 2 runs, looking back, wasn't as bad, but man, the kid really did battle. I was curious to see how he would be in that situation. Again, the Dodgers were working his counts. He was really struggling at times, but he did battle. And he got out of a couple jams as well. I mean, there were definitely guys on base, but some of those were just some grounders that really, really helped him out. But man, I thought it could have potentially gotten a lot worse for Savage. But like I said, congrats to him. He really only allowed 2 runs, which, again, in the moment it seemed like a lot more, but just on how the game played out, it was really all he needed to do. So congrats to that kid for battling. And especially, again, I know they talked about it 24/7 last night on the broadcast, but to be where he was at the start of the season to where he is now, I mean, they said he's still living in a freaking hotel. Absolutely nuts. Congrats to the kid. Now, the main story for me is Blake Snell. This was not the performance I was expecting. I was expecting to see more of what we've seen from Blake Snell in the playoffs this year, which has been a dominant pitcher on another level. And you saw it within the first inning. The Blue Jays were, again, working him. They were fouling off the balls. He had 29 pitches pitched in just the first inning. That's how you knew it was like, okay, this might be a little bit more of a challenge than we've seen so far. And they got to him, and they really, really did. Again, they were working him. I felt like Snell was kind of settling in a little bit, but again, that they were getting to him, and then he lets up that 2-run shot to Varsho, and that tied it up. And then that goes back to what I was saying about Savage. In the moment, the 2 runs and all, the lack of control that Savage had, it felt like it was really more than 2 runs that he allowed. But again, when your team can hit as well as the Blue Jays do, and they tie that game up just like that, that's all you needed. That's all you needed out of your starter. And talking baseball again, credit to them. They did a really good breakdown. They showed the first time Varsho saw Snell, he was really going after, I think, mostly changeups and sliders. Man, they showed it on the first pitch. He was sitting fastball, and he got the fastball from Snell because he didn't see it at all in the first at-bat. In the first at-bat. And he just absolutely crushed that ball. It carried. And once it smacked the end of the far end of the stadium in the back, man, that place was erupting. That place was electric. And at that point, I was like, okay, they have officially gotten to Snell. Let's see what else they can do. And obviously, Snell did not have the greatest night. He finished with 5 innings pitched. He gave up 8 hits, 5 runs allowed, only had 4 Ks, all on 100 pitches. He was pulled when it was 3-2, so really wasn't the best. Again, just wasn't the best game from Snell, and there were still guys on base that they had to get out. And again, this is where it all comes together. And I said this in the preview video. If the Blue Jays want to have success in this series, they are going to have to work the Dodgers starting pitchers either work them in the count or get a few runs off of them like they did last night against Snell, and then attack that bullpen. And that is what they did last night. And man, Sheehan comes in, he lets up a couple runs all of a sudden. Now that one was a tough one just because that's why Snell has the 5 earned runs on his record, because he left so many guys on traffic for Sheehan. It was kind of a tough situation. Especially because Sheehan has been hit up a little bit in the playoffs, but still, that's your job. He didn't get it done. And at that point, after all the damage was done from Sheehan, it was 5-2, so they decided to pull him. Anthony Banda was then put in the game for Sheehan, and man, he sees Addison Barger, and that one is just absolutely deleted. A grand slam with bases loaded, and the game is 9-2. The game is completely blown up at that point, completely blown up. It was just like, wow, what are we seeing? But again, this is Toronto Blue Jays baseball. This is their brand of baseball. It's hitting, again, working counts, just mashing the ball, putting pressure on the opposing team to constantly get more guys out. And then that wasn't everything. I thought, okay, it's 9-2. Maybe they get out of this. 9-2, the game's pretty much over, but maybe they can minimize the damage. No. The inning of hell continues. That 6th inning. Kirk then is eventually up to bat. He hits a home run. It's now 11-2, a 2-run shot. Obviously, the game was over at this point, but my God, that was the inning from hell, the 6th inning from hell for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ohtani eventually does get a 2-run shot in the 7th inning. It doesn't really matter. It makes it 11-4, and that was really the game. And again, the deciding factor for me when I think about Game 1 of this World Series is these 2 starters. Yes, Savage could have had a night like this with Blake Snell, but again, he battled and only led it to 2. And then the rest of the bullpen for the Blue Jays that I had some concerns with, they did their job. And I got to give them credit for that. But man, again, I said it when I was talking about Blake Snell, but it really is so key. The Dodgers have been able to mask this issue, their bullpen, so far with just how the playoffs have gone. Because again, the starters have been so dominant. They've been able to go to Sasaki, and then they haven't really had to go too much of their pen. And that's why I was curious to see how the Dodgers would do even going into the postseason this year, because I was worried about their bullpen if it had to be relied on because of how bad it was. And again, when Blake Snell only goes 5 innings, 100 pitches thrown, and you have to put in some of these guys that you don't trust in a high leverage situation when you still are numerous innings away from going to your closer, it's just a tough spot to be in. And that's what the Blue Jays did. Again, credit to them for actually getting it done and executing. And that is how you beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. That is how you beat this team. I also will call out the Dodgers a little bit. Guys, you guys are going to need to score more. They said going into this game in the playoffs, the Dodgers have only been averaging 3 runs a game for their offense. That's not good enough, especially against this quality of team hitting. And last night, yes, you have 4 runs, but really if Shohei doesn't hit that 2-run shot, it's 2. So I need to see more from the Dodgers offense. I just need to see more. They left 7 guys on base last night. They had opportunities to score more, and they just didn't. But yeah, man, it's these starters. These starters decided it last night. Again, I did not think Savage was going to be able to battle through the adversity that he had, and I did not think Snell was going to blow up that much. But again, when Snell blows up, the bullpen is relied on. That is how the Dodgers will face their demise in this series. We will have to see how everything goes tonight. Again, I'm recording this on Saturday morning. We got Yamamoto tonight, and we got Gausman. So Jays can either make it 2-0 and can put a lot of pressure on the Dodgers real early, just like that, or Yamamoto can settle everything down. You steal 1 game on the road, and all of a sudden, if you're LA, you feel really, really good. So we will see what happens, but things I'm watching tonight, really, how will Yamamoto and Gausman do? Again, Yamamoto, how long can you go? How long can you keep the Blue Jays bats away from the bullpen? And really, the Los Angeles Dodgers, can they hit more than can they score more than 3 to 4 runs? They're going to need more. This Toronto team, I mean, it's been their thing all postseason. They're hitting so damn well, and that's what they do. Even Bichette comes in the lineup last night and just instantly clicked, and he makes a great play in the field as well. Very curious to see. Sorry if this video was I don't really think it was scrambled, but I don't know. I'm just so worked up talking about this. It was just so crazy. But yeah, that's all I got in this one. Hopefully, if I have enough time tomorrow, which I should, I will be able to break down Game 2. Very excited to see how this one goes because this is a huge, huge game tonight. But yeah, that's all I got on this one. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like. If you like my type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to break down the World Series and the rest of the MLB, offseason, all that once we get there. Drop your thoughts down below on the game, predictions for Game 2 tonight. And if you're interested in any of my short-term content, that will be in the description down below of my TikTok. And if you made it this far in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Peace, guys.